Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am really glad you're here. Today's date is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. It's hurricane season here in the US. That's a natural, recurring event, annual event, hurricane season. But as we know, with all of the many weather modification patents out there, nowadays quite often our weather is manipulated. And currently, as I'm making this video, within the next few hours, Hurricane Milton is supposed to make landfall. And it's been closely watched as it builds and heads towards the United States. So there's chatter in the alt media community that I thought might be worth a tarot read real quick. And that is that not only is Milton going to be allowed to be strong when it hits the mainland in Florida, but that there's a reason for it. That there is some underground facilities that need to be cleaned out and flooded, and that there are other white hat moves at play. Now, in previous reads, I've gotten that the deep state doesn't have quite the access to technology that they've had in the past, but they have enough, and they had the funds to commission things like mobile weather altering units, uh, equipment like that. But there's also weather in the white hat hands. So I think, what we seem to be curious about, and I know I am, and I thought I'd do a quick video about this. I want to ask the cards, is there going to be some mitigation or guiding by the white hats of Milton? Some. That's not to say there won't be destruction. That's not to say that it won't still be. I do know that earlier today, Governor DeSantis mentioned that it had been, the category of it had dropped, and then I heard it raised again. So who knows what's going on? It looks like opposing forces are mitigating the strength of it and then trying to get it maximized again. And so there does seem to be a little weather warfare going on. There's no other word for it. So let's ask the universe, okay? As Hurricane Milton approaches landfall at the United States, in the United States, is there going to be successful mitigation or direction so they can use it for operational purposes of Milton by the White Hats? So if we see a lot of flooding in Disney World, we'll know what's going on, right? In the meantime, I don't mean to make light of a very serious situation. Hurricanes are nothing to laugh at or smile about. Not at all. And they can be deadly. So I hope if you're in harm's way, you were allowed to make the preparations you needed to make and do any plans that you had for your safety, your family's safety, and for your loved ones and animals and, those in your circle. And our prayers will be with you that you remain safe and that you return home to a home. And if not, that you always remember stuff is just stuff. It's the people we can't replace and our pets. So I like seeing the footage of so many horse trailers that there was livestock being removed too. They're not just being left in harm's way. So let's ask the universe, though. Again, our question, so we have a yes or no element to it, is will there be direct and successful mitigation efforts or directing efforts of Milton on the part of the White Hats? Again, with full knowledge that the opposing team is still trying to do a swath of destruction and just having their usual hissy fit tantrum. Oh, I heard another really cool piece of chatter. And this is from a dear friend of mine in the truther community who told me that part of the reason there's been this weather shenanigans with Helene and now with Milton is because those low vibrational beings, whether they're human or hybrid or a mix, are we who are on a path of ascension, who are vibrating higher and more intentionally, we are becoming difficult to see. And that part of why they're doing this is to generate loosh, which they need, and to, in the course of causing anxiety, anger, fear, um, bring us down more onto their levels so that we can be more easily manipulated and harmed and what have you. So interesting to think about that we're actually being so successful in our personal growth on an ascension path that the very low 3D vibrational beings or high 2D, we have a few of those too, don't think we don't, are having difficulty seeing us, not only seeing us, but interacting with us. So I'd love that chatter to be accurate, but I'm not going to do a read about that. It's just as far as I'm concerned right now, it's rumor and innuendo, but it's interesting rumor and innuendo. What is a fact, though, is that we have a hurricane about to make landfall, and we are aware that not only is there weather manipulation capabilities, but they're in both hands. So let's see what the universe wants us to know about possible white hat successful mitigation or direction of the main part of the storm as it makes landfall. All right, I'm going to switch the camera. You can watch me work with the cards and we'll find out our answer to this question together. By the way, if you notice, I did not have a share screen for this. Hurricane Milton is taking up so much of the mainstream and even alt media chatter that it's just, there's no need for it. There's even a 24-hour channel apparently devoted to Milton news. So I don't need to give you any links. You can do your own homework on this one. Our question for the universe is, will Milton be successfully either mitigated or directed by the white hats for operational purposes? So mitigation or intentional direction, plus additional insights and information as the universe chooses to share with us. Okay, our first card is strength. That's good. We got a hard yes with the Ace of Wands. Okay, the Five of Pentacles, the Chariot, two major arcanas out of four so far. Then we have the Ten of Wands, the Sun, another major arcana, and the Hermit, yet another major arcana. One, two, three, four major arcanas out of seven cards. Statistically almost impossible. But when it's being used as a communication device by the universe, absolutely possible. So we were saying, will the white hats be able to either mitigate or have influenced the movement and direction for operational purposes of Milton? And we got a definite yes with the Ace of Wands, which is also a card of success. So absolutely success and strength. So while the deep state or those who engage in evil hijinks has some capability, like with mobile units that they've commissioned, things like that. It looks like there's more capability within the hands of the white hats, especially now that they've had time to focus down in the um, area of the hurricanes for the United States. Who knows how widely they were dispersed. And before this, I don't know, don't have that, but that is something to think about. If the alliance is for more than just the United States, if it's a worldwide enterprise, then there's sharing of resources. And sometimes it probably does take a while to get resources from point A to point B and to use them. And you don't want to get spread too thin so that something else can crop up in another, hemisphere or latitude or something like that. So yeah, there's going to be some mitigation of it as well as some directed flow of it. Now, recent past, okay, we've got this card of kind of indicating some hardship, willing hardship, okay, but often a card showing some harm was intended um, and and even to some extent, just that acknowledgement that there is collateral damage in warfare. And make no mistake about it, guys, weather warfare is very real. I can't believe there's people walking around who don't even realize we're in the middle of a war. Okay, but we are. Now, the Chariot, moving and shaking. This is why I said it may have taken them a while to get some either satellites into position, if you still believe they're satellites, or some kind of technology to where they have this strength card showing up, but they're in place now, so they can prevail, even if they don't prevent the entirety of the hurricane hitting the coastline. Absolutely. And remember, again, this is hurricane season. If we stayed out of it, hurricanes would still happen, but they would develop and dissipate naturally. Now let's look at the near future, what's going on. Okay. First of all, the sun, beautiful card, saying the sun's going to shine afterwards, quite literally, but also telling us that there's going to be success. So yes, they're going to work at mitigation and when they can't and moving, mitigation and moving of this storm front. So the Ten of Wands saying, and the Hermit shining the light on it. We're kind of coming to an end of some of these actions like this that have been so successful. This kind of aligns with my previous read on Hurricane Helene, when I got that the White Hats weren't going to allow, and they were going to position themselves in such a way that they wouldn't be able to do such wanton destruction again this hurricane season. So that's really good to see. Okay, now let's get a few more cards and see what's going on. We have the Eight of Swords, the Hierophant, Queen of Swords, and the Death card showing up. Okay, now these cards again are for the near future and less insightful than the first two we had with the Sun and the Hermit. Okay, this card usually indicates there's some actions that are possible that they've chosen not to pursue. Okay. And the Hierophants is usually, in my reads, they kind of indicate the deep state. So they're pulling out all the stops. Look, he's directing fumes and what have you above him. They're going full tilt at it. The White Hats said, hey, hurricanes are a naturally occurring event. We want to take the manipulation element out of it. Okay, so they're trying to mitigate just down to what it would have been without the weaponization. And they're going to be successful at it. The Queen of Swords is a card showing some success, also quite often showing some clear thinking and even justice. The sword suit all kind of hint and always indicate justice path. Okay, the Death card. Again, we know we are in a war that is trying to get rid of very entrenched evil that had gotten more pervasive than anybody dared dream. Okay, so it is a process that's going to take a while. We've had success. We will continue to have success. God wins. Okay, but just the acknowledgement here that this is just one more campaign in the war, getting to the finish line. So not so much death, although we know that there will be some animal and possibly human victims of any kind of a major weather event, including a hurricane. But that's not what this card indicates. What it predominantly indicates is long, slow change. And what's the change? We're going from dark to light. We're freeing humanity so that we can pursue our potential without hindrance, which we've had for millennia. So let's recap. After discussing the very obvious truth that there is weather manipulation capabilities on both sides of the aisle, but that they seem to have more of it or have taken care of more of it on the hands of the White Hats. So that has been something that's been successful. However, there is weather manipulation capabilities on the part of the hijinks gang. Okay, there is. And that's the way it is. Whether they commission new when they lost certain stationary locations, I don't have details on that, but they do have some capability and they use it for nefarious purposes. So we were asking, would the White Hats be able to would they be able to successfully either mitigate or move Milton as it makes landfall into strategically operational areas? Okay. Now, again, there'll be two forces at work here, but are they going to be successful in doing some either mitigation or moving the storm, like to areas that need to have a clean out underground or something like that? That was what we're asking. Well, we got some reassuring cards. The strength card showed up indicating this is the card for the white hats. This tells me there's more capability in the hands of the white hats. Absolutely. We got a definite yes with the Ace of Wands. So that was good. There's going to be mitigation efforts ongoing, which we may have already seen some of because, as I said, Governor DeSantis mentioned that the storm had lost power. Then it seemed to increase again. So and this seems to be more than the usual ebb and flow of a hurricane developing over the Atlantic. So the younger version of the Emperor showed up with the Chariot card saying things are moving. It is a military operation at its heart, and an acknowledgement that much as it pains us to say, there's going to be damage and possibly injury, loss of life, especially with terrain, flora, fauna, things like that. Hopefully to the least amount possible human life. But again, I got a heart for the animals, so I want them to get through it too, okay? Now, near future said this may be the last storm where they being the deep state have even this much influence over the ebb and flow of the weather. I like the thought of that because the strongest advice card was telling us it's all going to blow over. The sun's going to shine again, and there is going to be success. So we got a yes with the ace saying they would mitigate. And where they don't mitigate, they're going to position it so that it's actually useful for white hat purposes as much as possible. Okay, and then we have the success card showing with the boom, the sun card. Hierophant kind of said the deep state is going all out on this. Okay, they're shooting their wad on the weather warfare. So we're going to see what they have capable of, and it's going to be successfully countered. On the part of the white hats, we've kind of hampered their abilities, and that hampering will continue. The near future, we have the Hermit kind of saying that, there is God wins and there is some divine oversight going on here. We are going to hear, if we can get the doom and gloom people to not just focus on doom and gloom, we're going to hear some stories of miraculous saves, interventions that can't be explained by normal ways, things like that. And then the death card showed up. And just a reminder, not so much for loss of life, which we know there's a potential of, and we kind of need to be ready to some extent to hear about it, but that we just have to understand evil had millennia to become this pervasive and to be in every aspect of human life, every major career profession, to infiltrate to that extent and to be that pervasive. They did it over millennia, they did it slowly, they did it quite well. And we are being countering those efforts and we are cleaning up that evil, but it's going to take a while. Took a while to dig in, it's going to take a while to dig out. But as I said when I was reading the cards, God wins. God wins. And that's why nothing can stop what is coming. Until next time, this is Laura with Laura's View and Tarot 2, wishing, if you're willing to receive it, that you have love, light, all things bright, and stay safe. Okay? Be safe, stay safe, make good choices, and try to radiate that love, that high frequency that makes us difficult to be perceived by evil. Bye.